Hello and welcome back to another video here on Rule the Game. Today I'll show you how to play Splendor by Marc, published by Space Cowboys for 2 to 4 players starting at age 10 and takes about 30 minutes. In Splendor you're trying to collect at least 15 victory points. You get these victory points by collecting cards that have up here the victory points or nobles that have here victory points. To prepare for the game, you shuffle the green deck, then open 4 cards here in this row, and then you do the same thing for the yellow deck, where you have here 4 cards, and the blue deck, where you have here 4 cards. Then you set up the noble cards up here, where the number of noble cards always corresponds to the number of players plus 1. So for 4 players we have 5 cards, for 3 players we have 4, and for 2 players we have 3. And finally, you take all the chips in the game and place them next to the field. For a 4-player game, you'll need them all. For a 3-player game, you'll remove 2 chips of all different colors with the exception of yellow. For a 2-player game, you'll remove 3 chips, again with the exception of the yellow one. And now we're ready to start. Splendor is turn-based, and in every turn that you have as a player, you have exactly 3 options of what to do. First, if you want to take chips, you can take 3 chips if you take them from different stacks, or you can take 2 chips of 1 stack, as long as that stack has at least 4 chips left. You cannot take the yellow chip. At the end of your turn, you can have a maximum of 10 chips. If you have more, you'll have to return some to get back down to 10. If you want to reserve a card, you take that card, you flip it around, upside down, put it next to you, and you also get one of these golden chips that you put on top of it. You then fill up the board again. You can never have more than 3 reserve cards. One thing of note here is that the golden chips also count to your 10 chips that you can have at the most. And finally, if you want to buy a card, you'll have to pay the costs of that card, which are listed here. This card costs a black chip, 2 red chips, a green chip, and a white chip. You return the chips here to their stacks, and you place the card openly in front of you. Cards can be purchased from the middle, or they can be purchased from your reserve cards. If you have a golden chip, you can use that to pay for the cost of a card. The golden chip is a wild card and can be used as any color of chips that are here. You can also pay with a golden chip from a card that you reserved to buy a card from the board. Again, after taking a card from the board, you refill it again from the deck. Now, once I've bought cards, you see that all these cards have a symbol on them. In this case, I have now purchased 2 blue cards. These 2 cards will now give me a discount if I buy new cards. So in this case, if I wanted to buy this card now, that has 2 blue and 2 red as their cost, I only have to pay 2 red coins because I already have 2 blue cards over here. While the chips have to be paid back to the stack, the cards that you used to pay for this card will remain with you. And I now have 2 blue cards and a green card. And last, the nobles. They cannot be purchased with coins. You receive them if you have a certain number of cards in your hand. On each noble you see the condition that needs to be met so that you get the noble. For this card here, I would have to have 3 black cards, 3 blue cards, and 3 white cards. I have none of these things, but should I fulfill this requirement at some point during the game, I will automatically get this noble, and I get the 3 victory points that come with it. Getting a noble doesn't count as a turn, but you can only get 1 noble per turn. Once the first player has 15 victory points in their hand, the round gets finished, and whoever has the most points at the end of the round wins. And here are a few tips for your first game. If you just want to play to have fun, then go for the cards down here, the cheap ones. You'll get them for not too much money, but as you stack them, as you collect them, you get more and more cards almost for free. Because remember, with every card that you get, you have to pay that resource less to buy another card. It will not help you to win the game though. If you want to win the game, you need to focus up here on the top row. You need to look what you need for here. You need here, for example, 7 red, 7 black, or here again, 7 red and 7 white. You see that we only have 7 chips. So you also have to collect from down here some red cards, some black cards, if you want to go for any of these cards up here. And then you kind of play from bottom up, and you try to collect here the cards that you need to buy here, the higher cards. Make sure that you reserve them in time before somebody else steals them away from you. But that's the way to win the game. And once you have 4 or 5 cards, you might also see that one of these nobles actually fits to your cards quite well. And then you can actually target that noble too. It's another 3 victory points. That's Splendor. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe below. Enjoy the game, and I'm looking forward to having you back on this channel.